Most people feel like they're somewhere in the middle. Not rich, not broke, just middle class. And with headlines constantly talking about booming stock markets and home values hitting record highs, it's easy to assume you're probably doing fine. But the Federal Reserve data tells a different story. And when you actually look at the numbers, the gap between how people feel and where they actually stand is pretty striking. There's a frustration zone most households are stuck in. They have some savings, some equity, maybe a retirement account with a few $1,000s in it. But nothing is really compounding. Nothing is really working for them. They're not falling behind, but they're not pulling ahead either. Just treading water. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where your household stands on the 2026 wealth ladder, from the bottom 25% all the way up to the top 1%, with real numbers attached to every rung. Because without that context, you genuinely can't tell if you're building wealth or just keeping pace with your bills. Before we get into the numbers, let's get the definition right. Because this whole video is about net worth, not income. Net worth is everything you own. Your home, your car, your retirement accounts, your savings, any investments, minus everything you owe. Mortgages, student loans, credit card balances, car loans. What's left after you subtract all the debt from all the assets? That's your net worth. The figures here come from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, adjusted to 2026 dollars. So let's start at the bottom and work up. The bottom 25% of American households have a net worth under 23 grand. And for a lot of households in this group, the real number is closer to zero, or it's negative. They might have a used car worth 8 grand and a small savings account, but a credit card balance and a few thousand in medical debt eats most of that up. There aren't really any investment accounts, and if there are, they're minimal. Now here's what a lot of people get wrong about this group. It isn't always about low income. Some households here earn $50,000, $60,000 a year, sometimes more. But they graduated with $40,000 in student loans, had a medical emergency 2 years ago that drained whatever cushion they had, and they've been playing catch up ever since. Income and wealth move together over time, but in the short run, they can look completely different. You can earn a decent paycheck and still have a net worth that's basically zero. Moving up to the 25th through 50th percentile, this is what the data calls the lower middle class. And net worth here runs between $23,000 and $179,000. This is where things start to look a little more stable on the surface. Most households in this range own a home with some equity built up, maybe a 401k that's growing slowly, a small amount of liquid savings. It looks like progress. But here's what makes this range uncomfortable to sit in. Almost all of that wealth is locked inside the house. The retirement account might have $30,000 or $40,000 in it, which sounds reasonable until you realize that's not money you can touch without penalties, and it's nowhere near enough to retire on. The liquid savings, the cash you can actually spend in an emergency, is often just a few $1,000s, sometimes less. So when a $1,500 car repair shows up, or someone loses their job for 3 months, there's no real buffer. You either drain what little cash you have, put it on a credit card, or do both. That's the dead zone. Not poor enough to qualify for assistance, not stable enough to absorb a real shock without it setting you back. And the median net worth, $179,000, tends to surprise people when they hear it. It sounds like a lot, but when you trace where that money actually lives, the bulk of it is equity in a house that can't be accessed without selling the home or taking on more debt. That number is more symbolic than it is functional for most households sitting right at the midpoint. So once a household clears that $179,000 median and starts pushing into the upper middle class range, anywhere from $179,000 up to $610,000, something interesting happens. The financial stress eases a little. Income is decent, debt feels manageable, the mortgage gets paid every month without drama. From the outside, and honestly from the inside too, this looks like success. And in a lot of ways, it is. But this is also where most households quietly stall out, and most of them never realize it's happening. At a $500,000 net worth, which sits roughly in the middle of this range, about half of that is still sitting in home equity. The other half is spread across retirement accounts, maybe a taxable brokerage account if the household has been intentional about it, and some cash savings. That split sounds better than the lower brackets. And it is. But it means wealth is still mostly illiquid, still mostly tied to